Hey, OncoPT, and welcome to the last episode of the OncoPT podcast for 2023. I'm so excited that you're joining me today, and I'm not going to lie, it has been a whirlwind to get to this point, even to recording today's episode, which I know seems kind of silly, like I'm just sitting here in front of my computer with my microphone talking, but I feel like I really got this sense of just overwhelm and exhaustion at the end of this year. And that coincided with a couple different things, right? So I finished the conference and the conference was amazing, but I felt like I needed to hibernate for about a month and a half to recover from that. And then I also had the end of finals. I personally did not take any finals. I administered the finals. But that also like really exhausted me. So anyways, all this to say, I have thoughts and I have done some reflecting on this past year that ultimately is how we've got to this point. But I have to be completely honest. It has literally been within the last 24 hours that I feel like I have turned my brain back on, or I've like received some insight that has been lurking in the back of my brain for a while and I just didn't know how to access it. And I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. Yesterday, my husband and I and some of our friends from PT school went to the bowl game that was here in Dallas, where Texas State University, which is where I went to PT school along with my husband and all of our hooligan friends, and I say that with the utmost respect. Like, they are absolutely some of the greatest professionals I've ever met. And it's also really cool that like I got to know them previously and like they were my friends in PT school and now they're professionals doing these amazing things. So anyways, we had our group of us who went over to Dallas to watch Texas State University, our PT school alma mater, play in their very, very first bowl game. And it was wild. I genuinely like some of our PT school classmates, I think they cried when Texas State won the bowl game because, again, first bowl game ever. They've been like, this program's been working really, really hard to get to this point. And it was really, really cool to see that culmination of all the work that they've been doing get to this point and just like how much it meant to not only, of course, like the players, like the team players, right? But also the fans, the students, the alumni. And like that was something that was really cool because I think so again, this episode is not going to be entirely about college football, but work with me on this. So I did my undergrad at TCU, and I'm a diehard Horned Frog, like purple crazy person. Half my wardrobe is purple, and that was even pre-TCU days. Like, I have been destined to be a purple person since I was very, very little. And so TCU came quite naturally because of the purple. And so TCU has actually had a pretty good football program on and off for the past few decades. And so I've always kind of taken it for granted. This is related, I promise. And so I've been to, some great football games as a TCU fan. And it's just like, yeah, like TCU has great football. Yeah, that's the expectation. And so this year, the roles were a little reversed. So if you didn't know, if you haven't followed college football, it's okay, friend. Here's the TLDR. TCU had an amazing season last year and actually ended up going to the national championship game. Amazing for us. Like, good job, Frogs. This year, we struggled. We struggled in our football game. It was really hard coming off that season where we went to the national championship and then just like didn't do so hot. It's a growing year, right? It's a growing year. Whereas on the other hand, my husband's alma mater and where we went to PT school, Texas State, has been having a really, really good season. To the fact that, they became bowl eligible, they went to the bowl game, and they won their bowl game in the most fantastic fashion. And that was really, really cool to see. So fast forward to this morning. All of this is related, I pinky promise. Roll with me on this, friend. I was on the phone with one of my really good friends that I've gotten to know over the last year, who's also in this therapy world and who I've really come to appreciate because she has a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And so we just sat on the phone for about an hour and we chit-chatted and we talked about this, that, and the other. And one of the things that she and I talked about is how proud we are of each other because we've each done separate things in our own private practices and are building in very different environments, different capacities. But it's so cool to see the progress that has been made. And I think I really needed, honestly, like I said, the last 24 hours of reflection through these experiences, the bowl game, and then this conversation with my friend to kind of sit back and think, there's actually been a lot that happened this year. there were a lot of metaphors that I'm kind of starting to appreciate of, wow, this was a growing year. This was a growing year, not just for TCU football, for myself as well, but also for cancer rehab. And I think that is something that, like, man, there were some really hard times this year for me, but it was a growing year. And I'm really excited to already start to see some of what has been put into motion for 2024. So, what we're going to do in today's episode is we are going to look in honor of 2024 that is just around the corner. We're going to look at 4 things as part of a 2023 review, year in review recap, because I like to keep it real on the OncoPT podcast. We're going to look ahead to some 4 predictions that I have for 2024. And then I have a very special 5th birthday surprise for you that you're going to hear here on the OncoPT podcast at the very end. But first, let's get through those 4 review recaps, if you will. So number 1, I realized, again, in reflection, 2023 was a big year as far as I made a lot of big plans. Some of the things that I worked on. So I, relaunched my case report writing workshop. I did some work for the Oncology Specialist Bootcamp, which are my signature programs here at the OncoPT. And then I also literally pulled a conference out of thin air. And that is so freaking exciting. But what I realized is that I'm really good at big planning and some kind of vision setting. But what I did not do this past year is really set intentional baby steps along the way to make sure that I can actually achieve each of those milestones without losing my mind in the process. Now, let me be clear. I did what I said I was going to do, but I definitely sacrificed my sanity and my health to do that in the process. And that is something I'm really looking to reclaim in 2024, because I know I don't feel good. Even after, let me be clear, I am grateful and I'm so excited for all the things that I did, but physically I can tell I am worn down. And I don't like feeling that way. And this is probably the first holiday season where I've really felt that. And like I said, I don't like feeling that. And I know that this is kind of a wake-up call for me. I need to do better, and I do need to be actually taking care of myself better. And part of that does involve me actually intentionally implementing a true plan, not just kind of a vision of, wow, wouldn't this be cool, but actually, how do we make this really, really cool thing happen? So that is one thing that a big lesson learned in 2023. Now, to build off of that, because I cannot just say wow, I should have done better there. There were some really cool things that came out of the chaos that I definitely put into motion. And I really do have to come back to the Cancer Rehab Community Conference 2023 exceeded my every expectation. The speakers, first of all, the speakers that I wanted, I got, which genuinely, when I emailed them over the summer, it was a shot in the dark. I didn't know if they were even going to say yes. Because also, I pulled this conference out of the air. And I was worried they were going to say, I've never heard of this before. What is this? Be realistic. And all of them, guys, literally the first people I emailed were like, yes, I'm on board, sign me up, whatever. And then we had an absolute last minute, Karen Wonders came in from Maple Tree Cancer Alliance and was like, how can I be a part of this? And I said, girl, I didn't even ask you because I didn't even think I thought it was too low. It was too lowly that she wouldn't even say yes. And she was like, no, please sign me up. Let's go. And she did. It was amazing. It was so incredible. So again, first up, the speakers were incredible. And what I really loved about the sessions, and this was not something we prepared, nobody else saw the presentations leading up to the conference except me. I was the only person who saw it. Nobody else knew really what they were presenting on. And there was a series of 3 presentations at the Cancer Rehab Community Conference that built upon each other's presentation. Completely different topics, but they took that information and built upon it and tied it into some of the stuff they were talking about. Y'all, it was all I could do to sit here and not have my mouth on the floor with I could not have planned that. And I think that was also a cool thing from 2023 is there were some things I did not plan that like, yeah, I should have planned, but there were also some things that I could not have planned for. And that was definitely one of them. I would be absolutely remiss if I did not call out our amazing sponsors. Again, Prairie Wear, Ana Ono really came and showed up to really support this conference and make it a reality. Like they saw past the fact that this was the first conference ever that I've done and knew that the vision and the purpose was there and was so wildly important. They were like, yes, sign me up. And also may or may not have already said, when's the next one? Because we want to be a part of it too. So stay tuned. That's in the future. But man, between, again, speakers, sponsors were incredible. And of course, we could not have had the conference without each of you, the attendees. We in total had 106 attendees from 4 different countries come to this very, very first conference effort that we have ever done. It was incredible. There were people tuning in at 1 a.m. live their time for this conference. Again, I never considered that that was even a remote possibility, but y'all showed up. And frankly, like, it does make me a little emotional thinking about it. So I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to cry on this episode. I already told myself that. But man, whoa. The Cancer Rehab Community Conference 2023 truly met and exceeded my every expectation. And I was not prepared for honestly how well it went. And that is really cool. Which also leads me into my third kind of review point, which is with building comes breaking. Now let me kind of set the scene here. So again, had a vision, had a plan, had some, steps along the way to make this actually come to fruition. But what I was not prepared for were honestly things that I would not have ever thought to prepare for until I actually went through this. So one of the things that I found out as kind of like through the process of, putting on this conference was the pathway from conferences done to getting people the course evaluation and then the learning assessment and then the CEU certificate was very challenging. And there were a lot of automated processes that I set up that did not work. And that was a big learning process, y'all. Like, again, whew. And what was so funny about this, like a funny of, well, now I know for next time kind of deal. I've listened to business podcasts for several years. Like when I first envisioned starting something like this, even well before the OncoPT was actually like a thing, I knew I wanted to do something in business. And so I've been listening to these business podcasts forever. And I remember hearing people talk about this all the time, like these business, people who have started their own business and they're wildly successful. They've talked about how at every stage of when you're just about to break through, when you're just about to get to that next level, you've been growing and you're almost at that next threshold, whatever that is, stuff breaks. And it is a test to see if you can really break through to that next level. And I remember thinking that. And I've truly never experienced that in my business, the OncoPT, before. I really haven't. And there were other things, like I said, that automated process of course eval, learning assessment, CEU certificate was one of the big ones that comes to mind. But there were several others of these like systems or processes or steps that I had put in place and could not handle what I was asking them to do, what my expectation was. And let me be clear, it's no fault of like the products and the tech I was using. It was that I did not have them set up appropriately to do what I needed them to do. And it was the perfect, albeit annoying, perfect demonstration of that I am truly breaking through to the next level in my business and honestly kind of in my life to where things are breaking. Things are breaking as I am building. And now what I am trying to do is not only fix them, but also maybe, do I need to maybe put some other process in place? How can I better optimize what I'm trying to do to actually make it do the thing? So that has been really exciting because it's kind of forcing me to step back and out a little bit to say, okay, that didn't work. What are we going to do next time? So that not only can I get to that next threshold, but how can I break through and ultimately have a bigger impact in the community? So stay tuned on that. I'm still working on that, but that was really powerful to see that what I've been hearing for all these years from all of these, again, people who have gone before me and done the thing, who have told me, hey, be ready for this. I was like, nah, man. I don't think that's real. No, it's real. I'm sure some of you, as you've been doing your own thing in the world, whether that's private practice or some other, business entity growth, whatever, I'm sure you've experienced that. And this is truly the first time I've been like, whoa, I am feeling that resistance right now. And now I'm going to push through. I'm going to break through. And I feel like I'm going to bust through. Like bust through is the vibe that I'm going with into 2024. Last thing, as part of year in review, this year has taught me so much about the power of relationships. And I think one of the great examples that, I shared, obviously, like I was on the phone with my friend earlier, who's also a fellow therapist and doing amazing things in her own region. But also, both of the sponsors that we got for the Cancer Rehab Community Conference have been cheerleaders of mine from day one. I mean, early on in the OncoPT, like 2018, 2019, they were the ones who saw me doing what I was trying to do and said, yes, come along for the ride. We are here with you. We see you. And they single-handedly have allowed me to just connect with so many other individuals. So Rocky, Dana, if you're listening to this, again, I'm so, so privileged that I have gotten to know you, that I know you, first of all, and just the impact that you're making in our world. And thanks for letting me come along on this ride. It's been really, really cool. And I look forward to seeing what ultimately comes of this in the new year and beyond, because it was, I'm just like, and again, between the sponsors and then the speakers, all of the speakers ultimately came from relationships that I've cultivated over the past few years through the OncoPT, and all of them were a resounding yes. And man, that was really, really cool to see. Earlier today, I actually turned down a major opportunity that I've actually been building towards for several months, and it ultimately just was not going to work out. And I was freaking out, and I was like, oh my God, like, oh, this is not what I wanted to happen. This is not how I intended for things to go down. But it's just like, I don't see a future moving forward with this. And I have this amazing group of friends who are even outside oncology physical therapy. Like, they have nothing to do with it. They're actually more mechanical engineering than anything. And all of them, like, I'm texting them, and they are just gassing me up. They are pumping me up. They are encouraging me. And it's just been so wild to see how many people have shown up for me and encouraged me along the way. And I'm really, really, really grateful for that. And I hope, if you are one of those people who, either I've called you out on the podcast, or friend, if you're here listening to the podcast, that means that you have been an encourager of mine along the way. And that is probably one of the coolest things about all of this. And so I want to take this time and thank you for that, because there is no way I would be here doing these things if it were not for you. And I'm sorry, I'm getting really excited about that. Okay, I pinky promised to try and not cough anymore on this episode. So now let's move into predictions. Now, these are kind of rough, okay, because also I'm trying to predict the future through a crystal ball that I don't have. But here's kind of what I'm trying to focus my mind around, especially as we move into the early parts of 2024. Number one, you probably already had an idea this is coming. But the Lymphedema Treatment Act, we're now seeing the legislation that has been in the works for so long come to fruition. And we are actually going to see those changes start January 1st, right? Like, how does that actually look now that that is into law? How does that look for insurance purposes? Y'all, here's the prediction. The implementation of the codes and whatnot surrounding Lymphedema Treatment Act is going to be rough. Okay, period. Apparently that's how it always goes whenever there's some new legislation with medical stuff and they're trying to actually get it into the works. This is how it happens, period. And I think just having that expectation moving forward is going to help kind of manage maybe the frustration and stress and I'm sure, other emotions that we experience as we're going through this. But I've also been talking with several industry professionals who are in the compression garment world, who have voiced their concerns and are not only like trying to find information from, fellow therapists, but also, going to those decision makers and trying to figure out this information out. So it is going to be rough, period. But I think this also leads really well into my prediction number 2 for 2024, which is the power of community is going to be more necessary and needed than ever. There is no way, whether we're talking about the Lymphedema Treatment Act stuff or we're talking about other stuff in cancer rehab, there is no way that we are going to get very far without relying on each other. And in fact, I think we should just jump the gun and lean into each other already, because if we're really going to make widespread change for the better happen for our patients, we cannot act alone. Personally, one of the really interesting things that, I think a lot of us probably saw if you're on social media were some of like the strikes and some of the unions that were negotiating over the past year. And let me be clear. I'm not calling for a strike right now. That is not what I'm saying. But I think that was a great, very visual demonstration for me of just how powerful community can be. And that is something, again, maybe not at that scale, I personally really want to lean into and foster in my own career and in my own community of how can we work together to ultimately, kind of rocket boost cancer rehab, not only into like the 21st century, but even beyond. Because there are some things, y'all, like it is not 1980 anymore. Like we got to get moving forward with this. And so I think really the only way we're going to make that happen is through the power of community. And that is my second prediction for 2024. Number 3, the transformations that happened this year in 2023 are laying the foundation for what is going to come and grow in 2024. Personally, I think I mentioned this previously, if not on this episode, but elsewhere on the podcast. 2023 has been really hard for me. There have been not only professional challenges I faced, but also personal challenges. I've dealt with, several deaths of people that were close to my heart over the past year, and that has been something new for me. Like I've had people die who are close to me, but never, frankly, as like traumatic and sudden and unexpectedly as I saw this year. And that has been a new thing for me that I'm navigating, and actually with professional help. I started therapy earlier this year, and I should have done that years ago. But what I have seen through this reflection that I'm doing into my own brain, long overdue, is that these things that fell apart, frankly, in 2023 for me, made space for other things to happen. And that has been really mind-boggling and frankly mind-stretching. Because in the moment, all I could think of was, oh my God, things are just falling apart. This is awful. Nothing's working out. And then fast forward now 6 months, things are working out very, very differently, but ultimately for the betterment of me, for my family, for my community, all these things. And so again, I think I need to be more patient. I'm working on that. But again, leaning into this concept of transformation has been happening this whole time. And so what fell apart for me this year is actually making space for different and maybe even better things in the new year. And that is really exciting. And case in point, and I can't tell you what's going on yet, but I'm going to tease it a little bit, because then when I do get to talk about it, I'm going to be like, hey, I told you back in, end of December, this was coming. My 4th prediction for 2024 is that there are some really big changes that are coming within our cancer rehab community in 2024. So first and foremost, we are doing the Cancer Rehab Community Conference 2024. We have not announced the date yet. That will be coming very soon in 2024, first part of 2024. So if you're like, oh man, I need to know, you can go to theoncopt.com/waitlist and you can join the waitlist for the Cancer Rehab Community Conference 2024 over there. We will make sure, and that will be announced later. But again, we're not ready to announce it yet. We do have the date picked. Stay tuned, friend. It is going to be bigger and better than last year. We do actually have our keynote speakers we've already reached out to. We made a dream list. So Kelly Sturm and I, we made a dream list of keynote speakers. We're like, wow, wouldn't it be so cool if these people said yes to speaking at the Cancer Rehab Community Conference? And spoiler alert, friend, they said yes. So, anyways, big things coming. That is one of the very exciting things that is coming for us in 2024. And then I can't, like, again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tease you like this. I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. I can't talk yet about this other big thing that is happening. But when I tell you, friend, when we are officially able to announce it, you're going to lose your mind a little bit. Like, it is so big. It still blows my mind that genuinely it happened to me and it happened to us at the Cancer Rehab Community, that this opportunity literally fell into our lap. And it's really wild because, again, it's one of those, like, I'm sure this institution really wanted it to happen at the first thing that they tried to do, but it didn't work. And ultimately, like, it has come to us and we are going to make it bigger and better than they ever could have imagined. And you are going to learn so much from it. And it's really going to catalyze your practice for your patients. Anyways, zoop, I'm going to zip my lips because if I say any more, I'm going to spill the beans and I cannot do that yet. I will, though, in 2024 when it is time. So please just know I'm bursting at the seams over here with excitement, and I just can't tell you yet. So stay tuned. All will be revealed in its time. But again, if you are excited about the Cancer Rehab Community Conference 2024, you can go to theoncopt.com/waitlist and you can join the waitlist. You'll be the first to know whenever we are going to announce the date, when we announce the date, when tickets go on sale, and then when you can get those special early bird discounted prices. So definitely don't forget to do that. Again, theoncopt.com/waitlist. And with that, that has been my 4 recaps of 2023, my 4 predictions, I guess, of 2024. And then, without further ado, as I mentioned earlier this month on the OncoPT podcast, the OncoPT podcast officially turned 5 this month. And first of all, I can't believe we're here. But one of the cool things is that I know that none of this would have been possible if it weren't for you showing up. For me, for my guests, and for our community here. And I'm so, so grateful that each of you did. And I have a few birthday well wishes. I did a call out in the community on Instagram, and I asked for your birthday messages, and I have a few that I'm going to share with you today. And again, thank you to each one of you who submitted a birthday message. It was so touching. Sometimes it's hard to know as I sit here in my office, my computer, my microphone by myself, knowing if I'm really reaching people. And these messages meant a whole lot because it really helps me see just what kind of an impact that we are making in our communities, in our world with our patients. And that is absolutely like one of the best presents that I could ever ask for. So tune in. I've got some birthday messages queued up for you right now, and I hope you love them as much as I did.
Happy birthday to the OncoPT and the voice behind it, Elise. Happy 5 years of dedication, hard work, collaboration, networking, and honestly, just tearing it up. You are killing it. I'm so proud of you, how far you've come. I can't wait to see everything that you do in the next 5 years and beyond. I am your number one fan. This is Alex Hill from the OncoPelvic PT.
Happy birthday, OncoPT from the EDPT. I can't wait to see what comes next in the next 5 years. Thank you for everything you're doing to push our profession forward. Keep being amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Happy birthday.
Happy 5 years to Elise and the OncoPT. Thanks for giving us all a place to belong and grow.
It's a joy to know that OncoPT is celebrating its 5th anniversary. myself, Matthew Saji. I am a physiotherapist practicing in India in a standalone hospice, and I've been greatly benefited by the videos that I've seen from YouTube, the OncoPT videos, and I really thank the entire team. You are a very good team. Please continue the good work of equipping physios to reach out to cancer affected people at different levels, uh, and starting from preventive, curative, and even in the palliative stage. Your contribution is immeasurable. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Happy birthday to the Oncology PT podcast. This is Angela with Cancer Rehab and Integrative Medicine, and I just want to thank you for creating such an amazing community and doing all that you do for our oncology rehab family. You are making a huge difference for us in our field. So thank you so much and happy birthday.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm from Seattle, and I wanted to just say happy birthday to the OncoPT. Happy 5 years. It's meant a lot to me, actually, and helped me focus. I passed the board's certification test this past year, and I love your posts and your podcast. Keep it coming. Thank you so much for all you're doing for the cancer rehab community.
Hey, Kelly Sturm, aka the Cancer Rehab PT, here to wish the Onco PT a very happy 5th birthday. Look how far you have come in 5 years. Wow. Thank you for your passion, your enthusiasm, and for really leading the charge in creating an inclusive and supported place for all of those entering and thriving in the Onco PT world. I'm so grateful to have crossed paths with you on those silly little social media sites, and I am even more excited to continue to grow the Cancer Rehab community with you as well. Cheers to the next 5.
Thank you so much to each of you who submitted a birthday message. I'm so grateful that we have such an amazing community here for the OncoPT podcast. And I really hope that you have had a very happy, warm, and togethery holiday season. And I wish you the happiest of New Year's. We'll be back with a brand new episode on Tuesday, January 2nd. But until then, this is Elise with the OncoPT. And remember, you are exactly the physical therapist that your patients with cancer need. So let's get to work.